Welcome to the Focus on Winning a podcast. So glad to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Ashraf. Good to be here.
What inspired you to become a business coach, Richard?
Oh, well, that's a long story, but really, I never intended to be a business coach, but I always wanted to run my own online business just because I wanted to be my own boss and I wanted to do my own thing. And I never wanted to be one of those people that go to some corporate office every day, do work that they find boring, sit in meetings all day, and just think, no, just sit there looking at your clock thinking, when's it 5 o'clock? When can I go home? And I was that person for a long time as I was figuring this stuff out. I probably figured it out for 10 years. And then I started a dating coaching business where I started doing high ticket coaching. That actually became successful. And then off the back of that, a couple of years, 2 or 3 years after I started that, I then started business coaching kind of by accident because people were just reaching out asking, well, how did you do your business? So I started coaching them. At the same time, I kind of got bored of dating coaching, just sort of talking to the same old guys with the same old problems. And I stopped coaching on that and started ramping up the business coaching. And here we are today. So it's kind of an accident I was in this position. I always had the goal to just go, I want to do something for myself. I want to do work that I feel is important, that I feel is useful to people. And I don't just want to do work that's just for the sake of it, just to get paid. I guess I've always been driven by the fear of getting to retirement and feeling like I wasted my time, or feeling like, I didn't make the most of my talents, that I was just sort of kind of coasting along and taking the money, but not really doing anything useful. That's always been my big fear, that I get to the end of my life and think I wasted it.
What was your first client look like?
What was my first client, you say? Or
yeah, I mean, what's your experience with your first client?
Well, I had. Do you mean in the dating coaching business, or in the business coaching, or just first sale I ever had, or what?
Okay, maybe coaching in general.
Okay, so the first client I got was I created a new offer for my dating coaching, and I'd done a bunch of different offers before this, and nothing really sold. And I came on one thing that actually worked well and talked well to a particular bunch of guys. And I got a couple of guys in who were like, I made a post on Facebook, and a few guys were like, yeah, tell me more. So I arranged a call with one of them, and I was like, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I went through like some sort of sales process, and I ended up selling him a high ticket coaching package for $3,000, which at the time I was like, oh my God, that's all the money in the world. And that was only about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, it might have been longer. It might have been 2014 now. And I was like, wow, that's all the money in the world as far as I was concerned. And that was the first time I'd sold high ticket coaching. And from there, I was able to increase my prices and refine my process, and kind of really started to kind of understand what I'd sort of stumbled upon by accident, and then make it into a repeatable process.
So how long have you been a coach?
So I was a coach, as a dating coach since 2014, and a business coach since 2018.
Yeah.
So two years as a business coach. 2 years as a business coach.
Nice.
Yeah.
I never been a coach before. I never coached anyone, in fact. So I never know the journey that the coach takes and the challenges, right? So what's some of the challenging in when being a coach?
I'd say the biggest challenge probably is standing out from everybody else who's trying to do the same thing you are. For example, if you want to be let's say you've been going to the gym for a while and you've got in shape, and you go, oh, I could teach other people how to do this. Well, guess what? You're not the only person who's trying to do this. There's loads of people. Just if you tried to do what I'm doing, which is post on your Facebook personal feed about your business and about what you're doing and about how to get results, and get people reaching out to you on Messenger, which is still how I run most of my business today. Well, if you try to do that about your fitness coaching, you just say, "Oh, I can help you get in shape," and that's about it. You're not going to stand out from all the other people who are doing it, because there's loads of fitness coaches on there. There's loads of business coaches, loads of life coaches, pretty much anything you could possibly imagine teaching. There's somebody coaching it. So you have to be able to stand out from everyone else who's teaching the same thing, so people can see what you're doing, Ashraf, and be like, ah, I see everyone else is doing this, but Ashraf is the only one who offers this, or the only one I believe can get me the result, or the only one I want to work with. That's really the key thing. Everybody sort of blends into one and sounds the same. And as a result, most people don't get any clients.
Oh wow, that's unexpected. Standing out is the most challenging in coaching industry, you say? Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So, so how do you overcome it usually? What makes people choose you over?
Largely, it's having people being able to. So it's mainly around credibility. So people believing that you can help them get a result. So you've got to understand, who are you talking to? So the term ideal client is used a lot. Like, who is the ideal person that you would like to work with? So for me, an ideal client is somebody who obviously can afford to pay you and pays on time. Somebody who will do the work that you tell them to do, and will get the results that you're promising them, and then will give you a great testimonial at the end and refer you to other people and stuff. That's an ideal client, as opposed to the opposite of an ideal client, which is someone who can't afford to pay, or doesn't pay on time, or doesn't do the work, and then blames you for it, and then tells everybody you were a waste of time when it was really their fault. You don't want to be signing up people like that. So it's understanding, well, how can I speak to that ideal client? My ideal client is someone who has a business already, has some sort of high ticket offer already, and is selling it to some extent right now, but isn't doing as well as they might. Like, they want to make more sales, and they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going wrong. They come to me and I help them fix it. So these people have typically already signed up with a number of business coaches before me. They've already gone through a number of high ticket offers and maybe got some results, but weren't totally happy. So I've got to show those people, yes, I know you signed up with lots of people before, and you might have spent $20,000, $30,000 on coaching, but it's going to be different this time, and here's why. And really how I do that is, I've got a number of different types of posts I use on Facebook. So, for example, some posts I call a value post, where I will teach you something useful that you don't already know, that everybody else isn't teaching. So now you go, oh, well, if he's teaching me this stuff for free, his paid stuff might be pretty good. So a lot of people try to do this, but they fail, because they just give out high level advice like, oh, you've got to be authentic in business, and you've got to be grateful. Every day, squeeze your gratitude rock and feel how grateful you are, and then suddenly you'll magically make sales, which is nonsense. Or you've got to be authentic if you want to be a success in business. All this kind of high level stuff that everyone accepts as true, but everybody else is saying the same stuff. So again, you blur into the crowd. You've got to be able to explain on a more detailed level that other people aren't capable of doing. If you can do that and then show credibility, so show how working with you helped other people, tell stories about people you've worked with where, for example, certain person comes to me, they've been with all the other business coaches before, still weren't getting results, and then within a week of being with me, they made $20,000, and here's the reason behind it. Here's the moral of the story. Well, if I tell a few stories like that as interesting stories on my Facebook feed, and you're in that position where you're in the position of the person who came to me, where you're like, I've spent a load of money on coaching and I didn't get the results, and you start seeing all these different people. Well, if I tell one story of someone who did that, you might be like, okay, whatever, interesting, but so what? Could be a fluke. But if I tell 5 stories of people like that, now you start thinking, okay, this guy gets results. Maybe he can help me. And you start thinking, maybe I should sign up with him. And the idea starts to kind of sort of work its way around your brain. You start thinking about it more and more. And within a certain amount of time, some people straight away, some people might take 6 months, but eventually you'll find that person will end up in your messenger inbox and say, Ashraf, can you help me out? I'd like to make more money, or I'd like to get in shape, or I'd like to become spiritually enlightened, or whatever. So it's that mixture of being able to show value, show you've got insight into your subject in a way that your competitors don't, and show that you get results. That's really the main thing behind it.
I believe the way you stand out is to build a story, and that's how you build a personal brand, right? So um, structuring story is really difficult, kinda, and when yes.
No, I was going to say. I mean, building a story is one part of it, but only one part. Like people really, I would say, building a story is part of your credibility. So why do you have the right to teach what you teach? So, why do I have
Mhm.
any right to be a business coach? How do people know that I'm not just some guy who last week knew nothing about online marketing, then did a 2-hour course this weekend online on online marketing, and now I'm trying to teach it? There's a lot of people who do that, aren't there? Well, how do I show that I'm not one of those people? So my story of how I came to where I am today, the story I told you about being a dating coach, and I did that for years, and then I found myself in other
Mhm.
people's Facebook groups just talking about business. Then I started my own group, and then after a while of my own group, it grew to like 1,000 people in 6 weeks, and suddenly everybody wanted more help than just I could give for free. So I started a course, and here we are today. That then makes sense for why I'm teaching coaching, why I'm teaching business. So that's really your story. That's your credibility story. That's only one piece of the puzzle. That shows, okay, this makes sense for why he's teaching this. This makes sense why he's teaching life coaching or fitness coaching or whatever. Like if you're obese and you're teaching fitness coaching, you're going to need a pretty damn good story for why you're teaching fitness coaching, because people are going to be like, well, you're not
Mm.
an example of what you teach. But that's only one side of it, because people also need to see, well, okay, you're getting results for yourself, but do you also get results for other people? You get results for yourself, but can
Mm.
you teach other people how to do it? Because it's one thing, you see it. I mean, I don't know. Do you like sports, Ashraf?
Sports, yeah, I do love
Yeah.
it.
So you
I
see,
play
I don't know if you watch
football.
the,
Yeah.
I don't know if you watch the, yeah. So I don't know if you watch the the English Premier League, but you'll see there's some players who are really good football players, but then turn out to be terrible managers because they can play the game, but they can't take what's in their head and translate it to the players who they're trying to teach effectively. And there's some
Right.
people who weren't so good at playing the game, like a Jose Mourinho, for example, or Alex Ferguson, no good
Mhm.
at playing the game, but much better at coaching it. And it's kind of the same in the coaching world. It's like, okay, I see you get results for yourself, but do you get results for other people as well? Can you teach other people to get those results, or do you just know how to do it yourself?
Mhm.
I think that's probably more important than your own story, at least in my opinion.
Right, right. Wow, that's a great analogy. I mean, people love being simplification. If it's not simple enough, then people not follow your teaching. So that's a
True.
great way of putting it. So far we talk about your how do you start your coaching business, your current situation, and then pretty much all about how you handle your coaching business. So how about we talk about the future? What's your next step in your business now that you've made 20K per month and you have Facebook group, you have you have pretty much a lot of things figured out. So what's your next steps in your business?
Great question. So my current focus is diversification. So I'm very aware that even up to now, I've still got all my eggs, or not all my eggs, but most of my eggs are in Facebook's basket, as in I'm relying too much on Facebook traffic. So if my ad account gets banned, if my personal account gets banned from Facebook, which happens all the time, it's
Mm-hmm.
called deplatforming. You see it all the time, like on Instagram. You see these. It happens a lot with these women who are like the fitness influencers or whatever. They're there with 100,000 plus followers, and then the next day they say the wrong thing, and Instagram shuts them down like that, and they don't get their account back, and suddenly their livelihood is gone. So when you're relying on only one platform for all your business, well, that's a risk, because
Mm-hmm.
uh, that platform could close you down tomorrow, and there's nothing you can do about it, or the platform may cease to be relevant. Facebook, if for Instagram's big today, but next year, the next big thing might be TikTok, and then this time next year, Instagram may not be relevant anymore. Nobody might be using it, and it might close. And if everything's on Instagram and you don't have something somewhere else, again, you're at risk. So my focus at the moment is moving things away from Facebook and having different areas, different ways where I'm making money, different areas where I'm getting leads and traffic from. So I focused a lot on SEO recently, in the last, well,
Ooh,
8 or 9 months. So
SEO.
SEO, well, yeah. So I've not really been doing SEO myself as such, but you know that backlinks are important. So I've been on a lot of podcasts like this one. And what I find is when I go
Mhm.
on podcasts, when I get guest posts on other people's blogs or whatever, I get a backlink back to my site. And all these backlinks add up, and then you end up rising up the Google ranking. So, what I think twice in the last month, I've had people appear in my inbox on Messenger on Facebook who found me because they typed something into Google, like how to make over 10K a month, how to make sales online as an introvert. And they found one of my blog posts
Mhm.
because it appeared high on Google, and then found me on Facebook as a result of going through my website. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, because now it's a different
Uh-huh.
way that people can reach me rather than just Facebook. So it's finding all kinds of different ways, maybe starting a YouTube channel or just different ways that you can run your business. So if the worst thing happens and Facebook shuts me down, I don't suddenly lose my
Mhm.
entire business. That's really my focus. I'm not necessarily worried about scaling massively. I mean, I've done better. I mean, like June, I did like
Mhm.
50K, 60K, I think, in sales. But I'm not really worried about going beyond 20, 30K a month. I've got everything I need to live. I don't need to earn more money than that. After that, it's like, what's the difference between 20K and 100K a month? It's like, you've got everything you need. You can fly first class. How much money does a person need? I'd rather worry about lifestyle and spending time with my family, that kind of stuff. But it's more about
Right.
protecting. It's more about protecting myself now, because I'm very aware. When all your business is on someone else's platform, you are running a certain risk, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. And excuse me. And that's one of the reasons why I also built my email list and podcast so
Mm,
that I have a lot of traffic source coming from. So
mm,
that's
mm.
a great plan also having SEO. I never thought about that.
Yeah, well, that's a great
So
strategy as well. Your podcast and email list. I mean, everybody, in my opinion, everybody should still look at building an email list, even though emails are old school and people's like, no one reads emails anymore, and they
mhm,
don't get delivered. They do. You still get 30% open rates. And the thing you've got with an email list is it's yours. Nobody can take it away from you. Even if one email platform bans you, if you download your email list as a CSV file every week or every day or whatever, and you've got it stored on your hard drive, you can then upload that to a different email provider and start again. So at least you've still got something you can use for marketing. Whereas if all your leads are just, friends on Facebook or followers on Instagram, that can be taken away in an instant. So yeah, you're doing absolutely the right thing there, Ashraf. Absolutely.
that's powerful also. And as you know, Richard, we are gonna talk about how to sell high ticket coaching on Facebook, right?
Mm.
So, excuse me. So I want to start off with the mistakes. People love seeing other people make mistakes, especially if it's coming from someone who is considered a master or a coach or teacher, right? So, what are some of the mistakes that coaches do when coaching people?
Well, if you mean in terms of trying to find clients and trying to, the kind of mistakes they make on Facebook when posting, the biggest one is just, and we've touched on this before, is sounding the same as everybody else. So they try to make these value posts, but they just sound the same as everybody else and they don't stand out. Um, the other mistake is not having their own personality and opinions and unique voice, where uh, I feel sometimes a lot of times people learn things like copywriting and how to sell, and they learn how to say the right words, but then they lose their personality in the process, and they end up sounding like a robot. They sound like somebody else. So I should be able to.
Mm,
I should be able to read a post. Let's say I know you really well. I should be able to read a post from you, not know it was written by you, and be like, "Oh, that's Ashraf," because you got your own way of talking and your own ideas, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I recognize that a mile off." Um, and a lot of people miss that. Everybody sounds the same as each other. And when you're scrolling your news feed like this, like you have to understand the reason people go on Facebook and Instagram. Like, they don't know why they're scrolling their news feed. They're not scrolling the news feed because they want to buy something or because they want to be lectured. They're scrolling the news feed just because they're bored. just because they want some entertainment. So you need to make your content entertaining to some degree. It needs to what I call thumb stoppers. It's like you're scrolling like this and you go, oh, what's that? And you stop on it and it grabs your attention and then you read it.
Mm-hmm.
So one big mistake that people make is the first sentence of the posts that they make are either gives away the whole post, like I know exactly what you're going to say, so, or it just sounds really boring. So, for example, if you make a post and you start it off with "You've got to be the change you want to see in the world," I don't need to read the rest of the post because I already know what you're going to say. It's because I already know you're going to say, oh, you can't be the kind of person who sits at home and complains about the world and how it is. You've got to get out there and, be an example, be the kind of person that you want to be the kind of person that you respect, and other people will be inspired by that and follow you. It's like, I've heard this 100 times before, so I'm not going to read the rest of your post. So I'll just see that and scroll past. Whereas if you said, if you use what's called an open loop, which is you make the reader ask a question in their mind that can only be answered by them continuing to read, that hooks them in. So an open loop is what they use in like soap operas on the TV, where, like on like these American soap operas, where it's like gets to the end of the show and a woman walks into the bedroom and finds her husband in bed with her sister, and she's like, "Oh my God, what the hell?" And then boom, credits roll. You've got to watch tomorrow to find out what happens next. And it's like, you're like, "Oh my God, I need to watch what will happen. I need to see the drama tomorrow." It's kind of the same thing. People are in our brains. We hate these unanswered questions. We need to find out what happens next. So if you start a post of yours with, there's a way you can make huge, important world changes, but it's completely different to the way people normally go about it. Well, if you're interested in making important world changes and in impacting the world in some way, that's going to make you curious. And you'll be like, okay, what is this way? I want to find out. And it's different to what people normally do. It's different to what people normally tell you. You're going to be like, okay, what is it? Then if you reel people in and explain about being the change you want to see in the world and all that, well, now you've reeled people in and they're interested and they'll read the whole post. So little things like that can draw people in to read your post and hook them in so they read the whole thing. I think the mistake most people make is their content seems too boring and people read one sentence of it and carry on scrolling. So the rest of 90% of the content might be brilliant, but nobody's reading it. I think that's the biggest mistake people make, alongside not standing out from everybody else.
Wow, I didn't know that the hook that was a big deal. I mean, you mentioned it before that um, if all of all of the message that are put into the hook, then people are not going to read the whole post. So the hook must
Exactly.
contain a lot of curiosity, right? So yeah, and one of
Yeah,
the
so yeah, you see it in this applies in everything. Say if you want to send emails to your list, Ashraf,
yeah.
super important. The subject line, you want the subject line to invoke some sort of curiosity, to be interesting, or to have some sort of strong benefit. So if I click on when I'm scrolling on my phone, I click on your email, it's going to be worth my time opening this. So when the drunk clown punched me in the face, you're going to be like, what the hell? What, the drunk? Why was the clown drunk? Where were you? Why did he punch you in the face? What happens next? It opens all these questions up, and then you click on it. You almost have to click on it to find out. So see how that's different to like all the other emails in your inbox, which are like spam, or an email from like Groupon or something, like 20% off voucher or something. You're just like, boring, deal ends today, all that kind of stuff. Nobody cares. You're not clicking on that stuff. But something like this stands out a mile. So you want to stand out from everything else. When someone's scrolling their emails in their inbox, what
Right.
subject line can you have that's going to make people be like, what the hell is that? I need to click on it.
That's awesome. So excuse me. So you mentioned earlier about someone that must have credibility about their coaching, and how does someone know that they have enough credibility that they can start coach people?
Good question. I think I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere. So everybody goes from a point
Mm-hmm.
where they never coached anyone and got zero results to a point where they've got loads of clients. And
Yeah.
um, really, I think,
Or maybe,
sorry, you're going to,
or I was saying that maybe they have too many failures over success, or maybe the ratio between success and failures. You know what I mean?
I mean, a person has got to be able to honestly assess whether they're any good at what they're doing. I think there's a lot of coaches out there who should not be coaching anyone because they're no good at what they're doing. So you've got to be able to get results. And if half the people you sign up aren't getting results or more than that, then maybe you need to look at what you're doing and improve. Either stop doing it or become a better coach. But if you're a new coach and you're like, okay, let's say for example you're really good at playing guitar, and you're like, I could teach other people how to play guitar, but I've never done it before. Well, you could say, okay, you could make a post on your Facebook feed and say, you could be totally honest about it and say, I want to teach people how to play guitar and build up a coaching business, but I have never done it before. However, I've got a method that I learned. When I learned to play guitar, I learned to play it in a third of the time that everyone else does. Actually, this is true of me. When I learned to play guitar, I figured out a way of
Oh,
learning that took I learned to play really well in 6 months when everyone else takes about 5 years. I just kind of figured something out.
wow.
And it's like, you could say that and you'd be like, I want to show some other people this method and see whether it works for you. And as a result, when I teach this for real, I'm going to be charging it as a big price because, everyone wants to know this. But what I want first is I want some credibility. I want some results. I want some amazing testimonials. So when you're playing all the solos from like Guns N' Roses or whatever, and everyone's like, oh my God, you're better than Slash. Well, I want a testimonial from you. But in return, you're going to get this a really, really good price, a really discounted price. Who would be interested in this? I'm looking for 5 people. You could put a post out to your Facebook feed, like literally today, doing that. Anyone interested in playing guitar, be like, yeah, tell me more about this. I want to know more about this method. So instead of acting like most people do, which is like, I'm the greatest coach ever and I'm going to coach you, and you're worried that you're going to get found out, you're worried that people are going to go find out the truth, which is you've never coached anyone and you don't know what you're doing. You can now be honest and say, look, this is what I've got. This is the skill I've got. I want to show some people how to do this, but I've never done this before. In return for me showing you this, and it's sort of an experiment, I want to see if I can teach this. In return for me doing this, you're going to get this like really cheap. Maybe you'd even offer to do it for free. I don't know, but offering it for free has its own problems in that people don't always respect what you're doing. So you have to set up, boundaries around that, which is another subject which would probably be too long to talk about here. But you want to get some people in who are going to do the work and get the results and then rave about you and say how great you are. Then once you've got those testimonials, you get them to send you a testimonial, and they agree up front. When you get the result, I want a video testimonial from you that talks about how great I am and shows talks about the result you got. And you literally say to them, when they've got the result, you send them a message, say, hey, how's it going with the guitar? Oh, brilliant. I just played the solo for Sweet Child of Mine or something like that. You're like, brilliant. Would you mind? And then what you've got is a message. You can screenshot that, send it back to them and say, would you mind if I use this image in my marketing? And they'll normally say yes. So now you've got a testimonial screenshot. And then you can send them a message back as well and say, hey, would you mind doing me a really quick favor? All I want you to do is record a video on your phone. Ask them, record it on the side so it's in widescreen so it appears nicely on like your website or whatever. Record it on the side of your phone. Just talk to your phone and just a minute and a half, and tell me where you were at with your guitar when you came to me, the process we went through, what you've tried in the past before me, and where you're at right now with your guitar. Just record that video on your phone and send it to me through Messenger. I'd really appreciate it if you wouldn't mind. And you make it really easy for them to give a testimonial. So they can just record it on their phone straight away, send it to you. They don't have to go on the computer. They don't have to do anything special. You do that with 5 people. Now you've got 5 video testimonials that then you could then upload the video on Facebook, then talk about it in the text of a video and say, here's an example of Ashraf. He came to me and he could only play G, D, and C. He could change between the chords, but it sounded really basic and wasn't very cool. 3 months later, he's now playing really complicated sounding stuff, and he plays open mic nights and people consistently come up to him and say, wow, you're easily the best guitarist here. That would be a great testimonial. You share a few things like that. Other people are going to be messaging and be like, hey, I do open mic as well, but my guitar's rubbish. Can you help me out? And suddenly now you've got a coaching business. That's what I would do if I was starting from scratch.
Wow. Okay, that's an mind-blowing process. That's how you get people, and you can also get them for free by saying that, hey, I help 10 people and I'm doing it for free, and in
Yeah,
exchange
yeah.
for testimonial. Yeah.
So
So.
honestly, the thing people don't want to do is everybody wants to earn like 10K in the next week. They want to earn 10K tomorrow and get like 5K per sale when they've got no history, no credibility, no reason for anybody to sign up, and they're not willing to do a bit of work themselves first. My feeling is all these people who are scratching around trying to figure it out, if they spend the next 3 months going, my only focus, I'm going to forget about income, forget about money. My only focus is getting as much credibility as possible, get as many screenshots of messages where people are like, oh my God, that's awesome. I'm so glad you taught me that. As many videos as possible of people sending me a video going, oh my God, Ashraf's teaching was amazing. It was fantastic. Just focus on getting that. Go get as much as you can. Then, once you've done that, focus on selling. If they spend that first 3 months, that's like building the foundations of your house. Spend the next 3 months doing that. You'll be amazed how easy it is to sign people up after that. Because now you've got the credibility. Now people believe you'll get them a result, and as long as you're offering something that they want, they'll be happy to give you money for it. It's really not that hard.
Mhm. So imagine they follow this process. They know. Excuse me. So imagine they follow this process. They know how to approach people, and now they and now when it comes to selling, when they contact on messengers. So what kind of objections do they have usually?
Generally, I don't get that many objections on Messenger. Because when at the time someone chooses to send you a message and say, hey Ashraf, can you tell me more about your program? Well, if you've been
Mm.
posting every day for the last month or 2 months, and they've been following you, they reach the point where they go, I'm convinced now, and they're almost ready to sign up, most of them, when they appear. So you don't get many objections as long as you understand the person you're talking to and you do it in the right way, which is, that's a conversation for another time. That's a more detail elsewhere. But you're going to get, as long as you get the right kind of people in your inbox, you go through a process. Then you go through a process I call filter and convert. So sometimes I'll get people in my inbox who will say, hey Richard, I'm brand new to online business, but I've seen your stuff and I really like it. Can you help me out? At that point, an alarm goes off in my head and I go, if they're brand new to online business, they're not my ideal client, because first of all, they might have too much to learn in the scope of my program. Like, I don't want to be teaching someone how to set up a website, what an autoresponder is, whether to use ClickFunnels or WordPress or lead pages, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to have to teach them that. I want to teach them like how to market, but then they go and set it up. I don't want to be like a coach who teaches them technical stuff of like, how to code your website. That's not me. So that's always a worry. And my other worry is that we don't have any money, because if they've got a brand new business, they're not making any money from it. So now I'm thinking, this person ain't going to be able to afford me because I'm not cheap. So, but sometimes they've got a well-paying day job and they're doing it on the side. So I don't make that assumption, but often that's the case. So I'll say to them up front, hey, thanks for your message. Generally, there are exceptions, but I don't generally work with brand new people, because I tend to work with people who've got more established businesses, high ticket offers, because they can make their money back more quickly, because I'm not cheap. Because my course is 3 months long. Well, it's 6 weeks, but you get 3 months of support from me. And but it's 7.5K in US dollars. And obviously, if you're brand new to business and you don't have any money to invest, that's out of scope for most people. So, I'm not trying to be rude here or anything, but I don't want to waste anyone's time. But it might not be right for you right now. But obviously, if you are okay with that, and it's we can talk about whether this is right for you. And then what that does is it makes them, maybe 90% of people in that situation go, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Yeah, that's out of my scope right now, but I'd love to come back when I'm making some money. I'll say, okay, what you want to do is go here, do this, and this, then come back when you're in this position. So they still felt like they got value out of the conversation. It's not like I'm being rude, go and get lost, I'm not interested. I say, this is where I'll go. I'd probably say similar to what I've said to you on this call. Go and get some credibility, get some testimonials, get some sales, and come back to me, and we'll refine. But then maybe 10% of those people go, no, I've got money in the bank. I earn well in my day job, but I want to know how to set up an online business. And I don't mind if it takes a bit longer. I know I'm starting out, but I'd really like your help. I say, okay, in that case, why don't we have a conversation on Zoom about it? Because it's easier than just typing on Messenger. Then we set up a Zoom call, and then we have, an actual conversation where we go back and forth about where they're at right now. So I want to find out, where are you at right now with your business? Do you even have a business? Where would you like to be? How much money would you like to be making in what time frame? If you say to me you've got no business and you want to be making 50K a month by next month, I have to tell you that's not realistic, and it's not going to happen, at least not with me. I don't want to be setting unrealistic goals. So I want to understand that if I sign somebody up, I can actually help them achieve their goal, that they don't sign up expecting something unrealistic and then I don't deliver it and, I'm the bad guy. So these are all things I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand, do they have the mentality? Often people who are brand new to business don't have the mentality to succeed. They have one little setback and they give up. So these are all things I'm trying to figure out. I don't want people signing up and then getting one tiny setback where they make a post on Facebook and nobody responds and they go, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm giving up. Because then they're going to blame me and say bad things about me to everybody else. So these are all things I'm considering. It's not just, can the person afford me? It's, are they the kind of person who's likely to get a result as well? So these are things I'm trying to find out on the call. Once I've got to that point, I go, okay, I can definitely help you. Here's my offer. And then I explain my offer and sign them up. That's essentially the process, really.
Mm-hmm. Richard. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think you froze for a second.
Oh, okay. Did you get all that, or did it?
Yeah, I got it until the Zoom call. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. I mean, I think I want to drop a mic because you drop a real value bomb here, like the closing script on Messenger. Like, wow, that was really cool. Even
Good.
in an interview. So, one thing I like about you, Richard, that's your ability to connect with anyone. Like, there was one post I read from your Facebook profile that there's a guy that you talk on a messenger. They feel like they have met you before, even though they never heard about you, and they feel like they are an old pal, you said. So how did you
Yeah.
connect with that kind of stranger? It's like that was really crucial skill, as a
Honestly,
coach.
so one thing I don't do, I'm not saying it's wrong to do this. I don't do outbound marketing. So I don't find people and message them and say, hey, do you want to join my program? I wait for them to come to me. And I do that. So I might add people as a friend on Facebook, but I don't message them after I've added them. I just add them. And if they want to accept, they'll see my content over time. So they'll see a little bit about my business here, maybe a bit about my personal life there, a bit about a result for a client. I'll get a useful tip over there. Maybe I'll make them laugh with a joke at this point. And then over time, they'll feel like they're getting to know me. So this isn't a one-shot deal where I make one post and the person goes, oh my God, Richard's amazing. I must sign up with him. He's, I trust him so much. It's more like someone becomes my friend, doesn't think anything of it. And then 2 months later, they go, do you know what? I like this guy. I didn't know he existed before, but I've seen a lot of his posts and I really like this guy. He makes a lot of sense. You know what? I might send him a message. So for most people, it takes a long time, especially my audience who've been burned before. They've signed up with a lot of people and not got the results. Well, for those people, it takes them a long time to trust again. It's like same as in there's a lot of parallels between the business world and the dating world. If you've been the last 5 people that you've been out with have all cheated on you, you're going to find it hard to trust the next one, aren't you? Whereas if you've never been cheated on it before and it's like you've never been out with anyone, you're not going to think anything of it. You're just going to go in and trust them straight away. It's kind of the same with business. If you've had 5 business coaches who promised you the world and didn't deliver, well, you're going to think this Richard guy's full of it. So it's going to take you longer to trust me. But that said, I've also had people who've, like these people who found me through SEO and found my website. Earlier this year, actually, as part of, I mentioned before about the diversification. Earlier this year, I
Mm-hmm.
went through my previous, 18 months or so of content on Facebook, and I took out it was about 68, I think, of my best posts. I just took out my best posts from there that I liked, and I turned them
Mm-hmm.
into blog posts on my website because, again, your website is yours. Nobody can take it away from you. Um,
Right.
so now, instead of just having these posts on Facebook that I make today and have disappeared forever by tomorrow because they're just gone in the newsfeed, now they're there forever on my blog. So people can Google, they can find them, they can read them. Um, I find a lot of people, they go through that process of trusting me, but they do it really quickly. So they'll read one blog
Mm-hmm.
post and they'll be like, that makes sense. Then they'll read another blog post and then they'll watch a video and then they'll read another blog post and another blog post and watch another video. And they'll spend like 3 hours reading all my content in one go. And they'll go through that process super fast and then message me like, I've just watched 3 hours of your content. Can we talk about your program? Whereas most people aren't
Wow.
like, yeah, that happens with some people where they're like, this makes sense, and then they want to consume everything. So I like to have the info there for them to consume if for that person. But most people aren't like that. Most people are like, they read a post today and be like, okay, cool. Then they see another post tomorrow and be like, oh, they see another post the day after and be like, oh, okay. And then it takes time to trust. It's like okay, I remember one of my cats, I adopted her from a pet rescue center and she'd been mistreated beforehand and she was quite scared of
Right.
humans. And when I got her
Mm-hmm.
home, I got her out the cat carrier thing and she ran behind the sofa and didn't want to come out. So what's the best way to get a cat to come out from behind the sofa? Well, I suppose you get some food out. But what I did, I just sat on the sofa and did nothing and waited for her to come out and investigate. The worst thing you can do is get in the cat's face and be like, hey, come out, it's completely safe. That's just going to scare the cat further away. And most people are kind of the same. If I start posting and be like, sign up now, or messaging them on private messenger and like on messenger, be like, sign up now, my course is so good, it scares them away and be like, oh God, no, I don't want to do this. Instead, I wait
Mm.
for them just to see a bit of me and they go, oh, I like that. And then maybe they'll click on my profile and read a few more posts. And they do all this in the background in it's a completely safe environment for them because I don't know they're reading my content. I don't know they're on my website. I don't know they're reading my posts. They can do it in their own time, on their own phone, taking their time. There's nobody there giving them a high pressure sales pitch. So it's completely safe for them to do it. And then when they're ready, they can reach out. And that's why they feel like they trust me when they reach out because they've gone through that process themselves of kind of trusting. I've not forced them into it. If that makes sense, I feel like I may have gone through a very long-winded explanation there.
Yeah. Yeah. It does make sense to me. It kind of reminds me of a quote from someone. I don't know where does it come from, but if people come to you, you are an expert. If you come to them, you are the salespeople. Have you heard
Yeah,
that quote
I like
before?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a,
So you already know.
yeah, it's completely different. It's like I think in NLP terms, they'd call it the framing of the interaction. Like who is approaching who? No, I don't like to think of human interactions in terms of like power, but who's holding the power? Like if someone's approaching you, asking about your program, you're the one in control. You're the one holding the power. You're like, okay, this is my program. I want to, but you're like, I want to find out about you. I want to find out if you're right for it. I want to make sure you get the results. I only sign up people who
Mhm.
are right for my program. You're the one in control there. Whereas if you go to them and you say, hey, my program's really good. Would you like to sign up here? My business coaching program's so good. It teaches people how to get leads and clients. Well, to me, I feel like these days that kind of comes across a bit desperate. Yes, there's ways of doing it where you can do it more effectively, but there's something, for me at least, I think there's something a bit desperate about that. There's something a bit like, well, if you're getting so many leads and clients and doing so well, why do you have to message people? Like, why do you have to cold message people on Messenger and say, hey, please join my course? If you were so good, people would just be coming to you anyway, wouldn't they? That's the thing. I get people messaging me all the time with saying, oh, sign up to my course. It's so good. I'm like, well, if you were so good, would you spend all day messaging people? Because it's not exactly a fun activity. Nobody would cold message people if they didn't have to, would they? It's not,
Mhm.
it's really boring.
Yeah, right. Awesome. So, Richard, we are close to to the end today. So, what's your final takeaway that our listener can really get from our chat today?
My takeaway is to figure out, if let's say you're obviously people listening in all kinds of different areas, but whatever you're selling, whether it's a physical product, it could be, you could be selling shoes, or you could be a coach that sells a 10K program. It doesn't matter. What is the end result that you get that's different to the end result that everyone else gets? Or how do you get an end result for people that is more believable than what your competitors do, and show that you get this? Do whatever it takes to get that credibility, so people go, okay, this person gets results. That would be the main takeaway. Mm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The
Yeah, I
internet
lost it.
connection is suddenly lost. I don't know how. Um, so
Yeah, it's
did
cool. I don't know
you?
how much you heard then.
Yeah. So did you tell the final takeaway yet?
Yeah. I'll say it again. So I was saying that the main thing is, a bit like the guitar example. You're not just a guitar teacher, but you've got a unique method that gets people there. You've got a system that's helped you learn guitar really well, and you want to show it to other people. Figure out, okay, when you say that, it sounds really exciting, and people are like, okay, I want to learn this method, rather than just, who wants guitar lessons? Boring. There's millions of guitar teachers out there, but there's only one person who's got that unique method. So figure out, what is your unique way of doing things that's different to all those other people, whether you're a business coach, fitness coach, sales coach, tennis coach. Even if you sell a pair of shoes, why are your shoes different to everybody else's? Why are your shoes cooler? Maybe it's there's only 100 pairs available and they're super unique, and everyone who gets them is like, super cool, because it's not just like a pair of Adidas or Reeboks that everyone's got. You've got to figure out, how are
Mm-hmm.
you different from everybody else? You can't just say, oh, I'm a fitness coach these days, because you've got too much competition.
Awesome. So Richard, where can people find more about you and learn more from you?
Yeah, cool. So if you can you can go to my website, magicsourcemarketing.com, and from there there's a free 20-minute video on the homepage which you can sign up for and watch, which will tell you more about how to find what I call your magic source. We talked about finding your unique thing. Well, that video goes into more detail about how to do that. There's also a link on there to join my Facebook group, my free Facebook group, if you want to do that. So you can go and do that and find more about me. And obviously, if you put my name into Facebook, you can find me, and you can follow my personal profile too to see my posts on there. So numerous different ways. But I'd recommend just go to my website and have a look around, and you can have a look at the blog post too.
Mhm. I mean, your website can be too addictive, right? Someone just spend 3 hours in that website because of
That's
too
the
much
idea.
valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Richard, thank you for sharing your ideas and insights with us. Really happy to have you here. And
Yeah.
for
Thanks
the
for having me on.
listeners,
It's been good.